The Meta Quest 3S is here, and that means that in this review, we are going to be talking about all the good and the bad, as well as the important things that you need to know if you're getting a Quest 3S. So let's start it off with what is included inside the box. Now the Quest 3S comes in two different models, which is either 120GB for $300 or the 256GB one for $400 that we have right here. But as you can see, the box itself is now pretty small and minimalistic, which honestly isn't a bad thing. But surprisingly though, it doesn't mention any of the games on the outside, not even the included Batman Arkham Shadows game, for example. But either way, once you open it up in this origami-like style, you will directly see the 2Touch Plus controllers with the Quest 3S headset itself. And also, there will be a small box that will include your accessories like your charging adapter, your USB-C cable, and a glass spacer. And smartly integrated in the side of the box, you will find the warranty and starter's guide, with the last one containing a QR code that we will also need for the setup soon, as well as containing a lot of information about the different buttons and parts of the headset and controllers. But let's start with the simple setup process. First, you will have to put on your headset and hold down the power button that you can find on the left hand side. This will then turn it on and put you directly in mixed reality, where you will find some handy tips on how to adjust your headset, as well as the possibility to connect to your Wi-Fi network. Now once you've done this, it might take a couple of minutes to download all its updates and install everything together. But in the meantime, you can take it off and start with the second step of the setup, which is to connect to your Horizon mobile app. And if you don't have it yet, you can easily find it by scanning the QR code on the starter's guide from before. This will redirect you to the Meta website, where you can find the application for either the App Store or Google Play. And once downloaded, you'll have to log in or create a Meta account and Horizon profile. This you can do by either using your email or with any login from your other social media platforms. And then it will automatically start pairing your new headset to your phone. So with that complete, the setup is already finished, which gets us to the mixed reality feature, because one of the main things that you will directly notice once you have your headset back on is the full color pass-through that lets you see your surroundings while letting you interact with the virtual screens in front of you. And you can easily switch between this mixed reality mode and full immersive virtual reality by simply pressing the action button on the bottom of your headset. This will then instantly let you transition from one to the other, even when you're inside the game. But it is good to note that the mixed reality experience isn't perfect, with you still seeing a bit of grainy textures on your overall view, as well as making it quite difficult to read text on, for example, your phone. But it is miles better from the black and white view on the Quest 2. And to test it out for yourself, Meta already pre-installed a game on it called First Encounters that kind of gives you a taste of what is possible with it. Here, there will be colorful little furballs that are invading your entire home, while you are trying your best to target them before they disappear. However, while there are some other mixed reality games out there, most titles are still played in virtual reality instead, with some of the bigger ones having an experimental mode for mixed reality without it being a full-blown game. But Meta did announce that they will finally give developers access to the outside cameras, which should mean we can expect a lot more titles like this to come in the near future. But let's talk about the hardware itself, starting with the performance, because the key feature of the headset is that the Quest 3S is using the Snapdragon XR2 Generation 2 processor, and that in combination with the 8GB of built-in RAM, which should make sure that all your games run as smooth as possible. This also makes it on par with the Quest 3 performance and a massive improvement over the older XR2 chip in the Quest 2. But there are some downgrades that we should also talk about. For example, when we look at the display and lenses, with the Quest 3S using the older Fresnel lenses instead of the newer pancake versions from the Quest 3 and even Quest Pro. This wouldn't only make the front of the headset up to 40% slimmer, but mostly would have caused a bigger sweet spot and less glare when using them. Besides that, the resolution of the screen is also slightly lower than that of Quest 3. But while the difference in pixels isn't a lot, it is in combination with the older lenses that it does make a big difference. That means that if you've used a VR headset like the original Quest 3 or Quest Pro, then switching back to the older Fresnel lenses can be very difficult. But of course, these changes had to be made to keep the price as low as it is. I just hope that the pancake optics will become the standard for the newer headsets. But one way to make sure that you do get the best clarity as possible out of it is by setting the correct IPD of your lenses. With on the Quest 3S, this can be set into 3 different levels, where you will just have to slide them in either direction to change it. And the second way to improve the clarity is if you're wearing glasses, to use the extra spacer that came with it in the box. That way you can wear them at the same time without any problem. Or even better, you can also upgrade to prescription lenses like the ones from VR Wave that you can just click into your headset directly without having to wear glasses or lenses at all. But maybe just as important as the hardware is of course the games. With the greatest news that all VR titles that are available on the original Quest Quest 3 will also be there on the new Quest 3S. This means there won't be any more exclusives that are only available on the newer or high-end hardware, and that you can finally play all the big VR games that are already out there, as well as the ones that are coming in the near future, since Meta announced that thanks to their previously mentioned XR2 Generation 2 chip, both the Quest 3 and Quest 3S will have the same games for their entire lifecycle. And another cool thing regarding games is when it comes to PC VR, since you can connect your headset with a buff gaming PC to play Steam VR games as well. This gives you access to pretty much the entire library of all the must-play VR titles, like for example the highly rated Half-Life Alyx. And this can be done by either plugging in your headset directly to your PC or by wirelessly connecting it. Just keep in mind that you will need a very strong connection to make it run smoothly, but having the option there to do so is absolutely fantastic. But something we should also definitely talk about is regarding the comfort, with the Quest 3S coming with a facial interface that is pretty comfortable and soft directly out of the box, meaning it will sit nice and snug on your face while still leaving a little bit of space at your nose gap. But one thing that isn't perfect is the included head strap, because both the original Quest 3 as well as Quest 3S are rocking the dual bend head strap design. Now, while this is still a big improvement over the older single bend ones on Quest 2, I still felt that it could get somewhat painful even after just a short while of using them. So upgrading it to a more pro-like head strap might be worth it in case you want to use it for longer gaming sessions. And even better, if it also includes an extra battery in it, because while on paper the Quest 3S does have a bigger battery that should give you up to 30 minutes of extra gameplay, it still often feels like it empties out too quickly. But that is honestly a main issue on most standalone VR headsets. Even so, the extra playtime does make it a welcome upgrade, of course. And that gets us to the controllers, with the Quest Plus controllers being a nice improvement over the older Ring design, as well as bringing in some improved tracking and better haptic feedback. But it is also good to know that it comes with two AA batteries. This means that while it should give you more than enough power for quite some time, you can also easily switch them out when needed. And although there are also some alternatives, like using rechargeable batteries if you want, this is most likely not always necessary. And while the tracking is also pretty good, do keep in mind that it isn't on par yet with the Quest Pro controllers that has their own built-in cameras into it, but it still does a great job for pretty much all VR games, with it rarely ever losing tracking at all. But it also gives you the option to completely ditch your controllers together and use hand tracking to navigate in VR. But not all games and apps support it fully, which gets us to the audio. On the headset, we can find these built-in speakers on both sides of the strap, and these produce a pretty good quality of sound that makes use of some 3D surround tech, so it feels like you can hear everything around you. However, there is one downside, because the Quest 3S does not include a headphone jack anymore. That means you can connect your wired headphones if you would want to, and while you can still use Bluetooth, most of the time the latency between them isn't worth it. But that gets us to the final conclusion. The Quest 3S has some big improvements when compared to the older Quest 2. This goes from the better processor to the newer controllers and its mixed reality function, but it does lack some of the higher end features like we see in the original Quest 3, like the pancake lenses or the higher resolution screen. But this is done to keep the price as low as it is, and with it starting at just $300, it is undeniably a great deal for most VR users. Even more so with the Batman Arkham Shadows game included with it. And on top of that, I also left a link in the description below that besides this game will also give you $30 of free store credit when you get your headset that you can spend however you want. So don't miss out on that. But that's not all, because if you want to see a more detailed comparison between the Quest 3S and the original Quest 2, then click on the video that you see on screen right now to make sure you get all the details. And of course, stay awesome.